Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 2019 Summer Cup. This is our latest cast in the Summer Cup, now in its 7th season. We are past the group stages and we are into the knockout bracket. It's called the knockout bracket because if you lose, you are done. You are knocked out for the rest of the tournament. It's win or go home the rest of the way out. We are down to 32 players. That's half of the field, and we have 3 matches for you today. First, we're going to be starting off with Skrewwl00se versus Catnip, which is a live match. We don't know the results. It hasn't happened yet. It's about to. Then we're going to go to Rio versus Kadi, and then Pofke versus Falcon Hit. But again, we're starting off with that live match. We're starting off with Catnip versus Skrewwl00se. Skrewwl00se had one of the most dominating group stages, went 22-2, including a perfect 12-0 on Spy. Catnip made it out of a very difficult Group L at 13-9, and even though only 500 games separate them, Catnip's been in the community much longer, but Skrewwl00se playing a lot more lately. What do you expect from these two competitors in this first match, East?
I honestly think it's going to be really, really close, and it's going to come down to some crucial moments. I think Catnip will have the edge here with this map pool. Reminder that the map pool does change from the group stages to the knockout stages. So we have some maps like Balcony and Terrace, where I think Catnip will thrive in. I think for Skrewwl00se, if he's going to get a chance in this match, he's going to have to perform on Gallery and Modern and Veranda. I think the big maps are going to be where maybe he can take an early lead and end it before it can even get to balcony.
That's a great point, and you're right. The match format is different here in the knockout bracket than it was in the group stages. For one thing, when you reach the requisite 6 wins you need, you stop playing entirely. Whereas in the group stages, for tiebreaker purposes, you play all 8 games and you play different venues. This time, we're going to lead off with Modern, then Gallery, Terrace, which is a 3-5 venue in this case, Veranda, and then Balcony, which is a 2-3. And as you alluded to, yeah, a lot of these early venues seem to favor Skrewwl00se's sniper. So it's entirely possible that it could be very either or, right? Either you win early and maybe it looks a little lopsided in the scoreline, or Catnip survives those first handful and then has the advantage in 2 of the last 3. Is that what you're thinking?
Absolutely. And well, with Catnip's style, she's more of a behaviorist. Screw's more of a hard camper. So I think it's going to be a lot about adjusting to how each of these players have played. I don't think they've ever played against each other in any type of format. So it's going to be a lot of adaptation coming here to see trying to play a clean spike and then make some small adaptations throughout the set.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, Skrewwl00se is 12-0 on Spy. It was 12-0 on Spy in the group stages. Pretty darn impressive. Only, quote unquote, only 10-2 is Sniper, which most people regard probably as the stronger part of his game. As you alluded to, a hard camper, one of the few who would call themselves very explicitly a hard camper, along with Crazy Kaylee, of course, and probably Banana Conda. Most more of a hybrid style, but Skrewwl00se is going to watch those hardtails, and that could matter quite a bit because Catnip Spy does favor them. Swaps at an unusually high rate, if I recall, compared to most Spies as well. So I think your analysis is probably right on. There are some tiebreakers and some extra time procedures if they do tie after those games. We'll see if it comes to that. We'll get into it if we need to. I think I'm going to give Skrewwl00se the slight edge here, mostly for having played more recently, has really been cramming, as I mentioned, has been in the community several years fewer than Catnip, but has almost as many games. Just one of those players who jumped in season 4, has been playing a ton, and has almost 8,000 games now after just 2 SCL seasons. And of course, I'm sure you are as just aware as I am as to how they performed in Silver.
But yeah, absolutely. Screwloose top 2 placement did not do super great in the TOP, but I mean when you get second in silver, you're a very, very strong player. And then yeah, Catnip did take a break in SCL season. Uh, was previously in bronze, but was with tough competition. Myself, Urand, who's now in diamond. So really, Catnip I think is really underrated here. I think definitely has a good shot. Let's see which players can get to a good start. Modern going to be a tough map to find a spy win on. Let's see if any of the players can pull off a 2-0 lead early. That would be huge on this
Yeah,
variant.
certainly would. They are starting up. They're going to be just about ready. Yeah, the game is starting right now. We're in. It is Catnip as Spy first. Skrewwl00se as the winner of their group means they picked whether to spy or snipe, and they've chosen to snipe. And Catnip has chosen Ponytail, one of the fastest characters on one of the largest venues. No surprise there. Probably picked more than average. Oh boy, decides not to enter the bar. I don't know if that's meant to be an AI stop or not. Not the kind of thing Skrewwl00se is necessarily going to pay a lot of attention to. We're going to go to blue bookshelves in the meantime. We're going to zig while the party zags with all those bar visitors. We're probably going to go try to get a book instead and maybe get away with this. Maybe leave with it. That would be the counterintuitive and therefore possibly intuitive move. But that book is marked. Screw is marking these books, and she is going to walk away with it. And I think if the idea was to get away unmarked, it obviously did not work.
Yeah, and kind of delayed the time she could have left as well. She could have left a little bit earlier if she wanted to make sure the book was completely hidden. Instead, waiting, and now we're just kind of showing the book out in the open to the sniper. So maybe hoping to get a low light on this return.
Yeah, but
Doubtful that'll happen, but maybe some less suspicion.
yeah, I would say that's not quite Skrewwl00se's style. Probably not going to reward that exactly, but certainly might notice it. And I think you're right. The problem is when you take that book out too quick, you're sort of banking on it. If they see it, you're in huge trouble. If they don't, you're safe. And there's kind of an in between. You wait a cycle or two, and maybe you can kind of have the best of both worlds. In this case, Catnip played it safe, and is going to play it safe here too. Maybe could do the animation while back at the same shelf. You see that sometimes. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be a green test. And Screw's laser was over it, but didn't seem to be watching that closely. It is a green after all. You catch the elbow or you don't catch anything at all. Sometimes what you're hoping here is that when they see you put the book back at the right shelf, they stop looking, because that's the thing they were worried about.
Yeah, and Screw's angle there, he was blocked actually by the middle pillar there. That
Come in
window
the
there
red.
gave Catnip perfect cover. And now
Yep.
we got a BB. This is a
Yep.
crucial part of Modern. You give up so much information with these lowlights, but Screw hasn't really taken that many.
No, only 3. He's being very cautious with this, and I think that probably reflects the venue we're on. He's probably thinking, look, I'm a good hard camping sniper. Catnip favors the hard, tells his spy. What I need to do is I can't take risky lowlights. I just need to grind this out and make her complete missions. And in that case, even though you'd like to have a lot more than 3 lowlights at this point, I think you still want to make the spy come to you if you're a sniper like Skrewwl00se. That seems to be what's going to happen here. The microfilm is half done. Contact is done. Seduce, 58%. We're going to need a green flirt to avoid having to flirt 2 more times. We are going to go to bar here, and you got to imagine this is going to be one of those delegates. Question is, who's it going to be? Drink is coming our way now. There is no fingerprint here, I don't believe, but there will be one on blue bookshelves in just a moment. There's the delegate, and let's see which conversation we head into. Big decision here, actually, where you go first with that delegate in your pocket.
Yeah, if Catnip sits close to her ST, that means she can send her to the bar if she hits a white test, so can account for both situations. If she hits the green, can send her ST anyways, and she knows she's not framing somebody. Yeah, now she has the option to delegate since she did hit the white test. And then, yeah, we can go gulp our drink, go finish microfilm. We'll be at full mission progress.
Whoa, look at that. Great point. I see what you're saying, but it looks like the ST left just as we were delegating, and we delegate to the person across the conversation instead. It's going to be one of the twins. Catnip is going to get the heck out of there, and let's see, is Skrewwl00se watching for this? Seems a little more concerned about other things in the party. Purloin is about to go off. There it is. Catnip has gulped the drink and picked up a statue simultaneously. I think Screw might just now be noticing it. I don't think they were expecting this. Must have seen it by now. Let's see if any lowlights come out, though. Inspects are going off. 91% on the flirt. Oh boy, made sure Catnip was highlit there. Could be for the standard statue. By the way, there's a fingerprint on it as well. Look at all this partial progress.
Yeah, we're right at the end here, but we have no time, and we go to this window to idle, maybe to add time.
You have
That's
to.
about all we can do, yeah.
It's a green test, and that might help, but look at this. 2 missions done, partial progress across 4. Some of that progress is going to be wasted. The question is, what's it going to be? You figure microfilm should be the odd man out here. Oh, loopy path from Catnip there. We see that occasionally in these competitive matches, the circuitous paths. Yep, Skrewwl00se is just sure enough, probably from the timeout, I would say there. Well, take your pick, Yeesh. Was it the time ad? Was it the path? Was it the Purloin narrowing it down? What's your best guess?
My best guess there would be time ad there. Screw was pretty on top of it after the statue, and yeah, the statue move at the end was Catnip's final mistake. Honestly, I think if she had gone to the green bookshelf, had microfilmed, she would have been in a good spot. Only 1 flirt away, and then you pick one last mission. But when you go to statues and you get inspects and prints, you're kind of splitting yourself a little bit too much. Can't really complete all those missions in that short amount of time.
Yeah, at that point, you have to have a mission count on yourself and see what you're wasting. But I think in that case, it's reasonable to have that microfilm half done and then say, you know what? I happen to pick up, maybe by accidentally, picked up a fingerprintable statue, and now my plans change. But just a confluence of events there at the end. Skrewwl00se is up 1-0, now spying for that crucial 2-0 lead that you mentioned earlier. It's going to be green dress, take control early on, and we're going to right by the ambassador, and catnip is staring it down. If Skrewwl00se can read this laser, they're going to know not to bug just yet, but she is moving around. Now we're doing the cast. Now we're doing the cast marking. The Amba leaves just a little too soon. Catnip guarded the Amba just long enough that Skrewwl00se hesitated, and by the time Catnip stopped looking, the Amba had just left that very, very nearly took, but I think Skrewwl00se did the best they could with the situation.
Yeah, it could have gone a touch earlier, but as you were saying, Catnip's laser was perfectly on top of it, and Screw maybe didn't want to risk it and was just hoping the Amba would come the other way. If the Amba had come towards him instead of away from him, that bug would have taken. So, a big miss there on Modern, especially since bug is very tricky, but not a terrible start from Screw, especially now that we're getting to finger.
Yeah, difficult fingerprint. Let's see if we hit it. We do not, so that is good information to have. If you're going to get that difficult fingerprint, more information earlier. I think there was definitely time to get that bug in, but the problem is if you're Skrewwl00se with the laser latency, you want to make absolutely sure that laser has moved on, and by the time it has, that was the crucial extra second that meant the bug didn't take. We're going to go with an early time ad. It's a white test. There's only one other character at Windows, and it is Duke, if it's caught at all. If it is caught, Duke could be a big suspect. Already has a highlight as well. In fact, several people do. Look at this. 6 highlights already. This party might be getting out of control early on. Screw's going to get a flirt here. It's going to be a white, just 31%, which, now suddenly, given that that's our first mission progress with the bug not taking, that time ad looks important.
Yeah, and these highlights look like they're bar highlights, so they might be getting thinned down later as the game goes on. It's up to Catnip though to determine the timing. If she doesn't neutralize them at some point, yeah, you're right. This party will just exponentially get worse and worse.
Yeah, if you're not willing to take those behavioral lowlights, I certainly understand. I don't take many of them myself, but the problem is that these parties expand over time sometimes rather than contract. That's a big deal. Skrewwl00se is hanging out next to the ambassador here. This is not a great time to bug unless it's going to be a pure timing play. Maybe while sniper housekeeping is happening, maybe while someone approaches statues. Could do it while leaving. Could fake into a bug. It would be a pretty powerful move here, but Skrewwl00se is just waiting. It really feels like they're banking on a civ shot. There's the fake. Is it going to be covering for something? Yep, it absolutely is. The bug takes, and it is happening during sniper housekeeping, during the low light on Twin. It's exactly what we were just talking about, and I think it worked beautifully.
Yeah, very nicely done there by Skrewwl00se to take that opportunity. And yeah, with running a little bit low on the clock, I think that was basically Skrewwl00se's only option. So really nicely done. I think if he had left there without the bug, he would be in a really tough position right now. But now I think this is certainly winnable.
Yeah, it absolutely is. They really, really wanted that bug, even faked for it, but it only let off 3 lowlights, just like the last game, just 3. And given how many highlights there still are, that's a pretty good trade in this case, especially because I think Catnip probably feels like the ambassador has been very well guarded. That's the virtue of that bug. It's very risky, but when it happens, you're usually not even suspected for it because the Amba doesn't look very vulnerable out front in Modern right there. Skrewwl00se is going to waste just a little bit of time in this conversation, and now realizes with 2 minutes left, it's still Modern. Even with that bug, even with this partial progress, we need to get some more flirts done. The general leaves as we enter, though. We don't want to chase too aggressively, but I don't know if we have much choice here at this point.
Yeah, now at this point it's too late to leave, but now General is reading by himself. Now you wish you went 10 seconds earlier. Tough position here for Skrewwl00se. Maybe we go add more time. We might be getting to that point, but I think if we can get a statue into swap, will get us double mission progress plus a real BB. That could be our way out. So
Yep.
can play this a little bit slower.
Yeah, just a little bit, but we are running short on time, and there's nothing to prompt the sniper to shoot yet, except just general nerves, highlights, things like that. You're banking on paranoia until you show them a little something more. We are going to try to get a flirt here. Let's see if it's a white or a green. It's another white, 65%. That's a dangerous area to be in with only a minute left and only one mission technically done. You have to imagine it's going to be something like inspect swap late. You're going to have to delegate too to buy yourself a little more time. Time is running low. 60 seconds left. There's the cooldown. General is all the way out by the windows, very far away. This is not going well.
Yeah, even if we delegate here, we're going to be really far behind. The double agent needs to get in here too. The only positive here is that we did not get highlight for this bar, so that is so big for us.
Yep, and we
We
delegated
might,
to a highlight too.
we might not be tracked. And maybe Catnip will shoot with contact having gone off, contact purling, maybe the nerves will get we'll see. 30 seconds left though.
Yeah. I think it's either shot or the game's probably over here because it's not going to be enough without the real contact. Even if you inspect swap, it's going to have to be a green swap into an immediate BB. And look at this. The real double agent is at Windows and is the slowest character with 20 seconds left. There is the green swap. Inspect is done. The Purloin has not taken. I don't see how we finish now. That Purloin was the game. It just didn't take in time. It's going to be a white time ad. Twin is at Windows is a highlight. Again, some good luck there with a highlight at Windows at the same time as us. Catnip hesitates just a little bit. Question is, how on it is she? That is not a full idol in conversation from skrewwl00se, and that's going to end the game. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I think that was a very, very winnable game lost to bad time management.
Absolutely. Actually, pretty similar towards with the other game too. With when Catnip was spying, had a really solid start and definitely had potential to win, but just slightly mistimed. If Screw had sent Boots like 5 seconds earlier, that would have taken. But unfortunately, just the timing barely, and that'll cost you on Modern. If you make one slip up on this map, you are going to need something big to make it up.
Yeah, I think maybe the common thread we saw from Screw in that game was just a little too nervous to get things done, a little worried about Catnip catching him, space things out quite a bit, probably more than they needed to, given that, again, it's modern, there's a lot of characters, and in this case, there were a lot of highlights and very few lowlights. Catnip had a lot to occupy her attention, and I think he could have been more aggressive, skrewwl00se could have, on some of those flirts, on some of those delegates, on all of it, really, even the bugs, which both took up a lot of time, only one of which took. I think even though you're worried about that, even though you're worried about getting shot for zipping around or being too aggressive on the flirt, I think you probably could have gotten away with it and it would have made all the difference at the end of that game. Anyway, either way, it's 1-1 now, and we're headed into gallery. And as you mentioned, these are the venues to start, these first two in particular, that skrewwl00se really wants to build up a lead in. It's going to be Catnip as general. Here we go. We've taken control. We are near the Amba. We're just going to flirt. Immediate flirt, white test 34%, pretty standard.
Another map with time management though, and although both players started great on their spy sides with early mission progress, could not figure out a way to close it out with a solid way to finish. So I would like to see just more steady progress throughout. They were doing great early on, but they just need to keep that pace up throughout the whole match.
Yeah, and it looks like Catnip is just going to want to try to timer flirt here. You can make an argument for it on gallery again because sometimes the ST will leave and not come back for a very long time, be very hard to flirt with in a full conversation out front, yada, yada, yada. In this case, if you can get 2/3 of the flirt done right up front, you're in pretty decent shape, and that seems to be the plan here. Catnip is just going to idle a little bit longer. Has not played a lot of gallery competitively, by the way. Obviously, Season 4 in SCL, just a couple of games. Purloined in both of them, though. So I'll keep an eye out for that, and I imagine Screw will be too. And we do have the second flirt done. It's another white test, 68%. Smallman's being offered a drink. Gotta watch that. BB. It's going to be a red BB. Uh-oh. Is Catnip going to catch this? Oh, gets the low lights. Knocks out 3 highlights right off the bat, including a new statue visitor. I don't think they saw the hand, but that was costly.
Yeah, our back to the sniper really saved us there, and even then it was slightly visible, but thankfully the cover provided by Gallery with the new art animations being slightly makes that a little more bearable for us.
Yep.
But
Safety is off, by the way, and I can't tell if it's on Catnip or if it's on Ponytail. It seems to have been on both of them. skrewwl00se might be indicating us, as snipers sometimes do in these games, who they're suspicious of. And this is already pretty narrowed down. We have moderate progress. Kind of feels like skrewwl00se is on this. The question is, though, is it Ponytail or General? It's going to be inspects here. One done. And that might be it. Nope, we're going to get both done. We got the adjacent statue done first before White Dress picked it up, and we're going to get a fingerprint simultaneously. This is probably the best way for Catnip to finish is with fingerprint, but skrewwl00se fingerprints himself a lot and is very aware of it as sniper, so you got to watch out for it. The safety is off again. Is this just how skrewwl00se zooms, I wonder?
that one was on Ponytail, so that does make me pretty worried that Screw's going to take a wrong shot. Can't get overconfident here, even if you're 100% sure. You just gotta wait for that last thing to confirm. So hopefully Alice doesn't do anything that makes skrewwl00se want to shoot her.
Yep, that's the big risk at this point. skrewwl00se does not allow many mission wins. More likely to civ shot. That's how most of the how losses come. There's the Purloin, by the way. skrewwl00se was zoomed in out front for some reason. Maybe even trying to bait it. Sees the list is gone now. And both of our potential top suspects, the actual spy and Ponytail, are sitting there. Ponytail has a drink, too. skrewwl00se hasn't shot the Very hard to read this laser movement right now. I'm not sure what's going on or what's going through their mind. There comes some lowlights. There's a fake. Ponytail's out, which means that makes the shot potentially so much easier for Screw, but still hasn't fired.
Yeah, continuing to hold here.
Whoa! Okay, well, your guess is as good as mine. The safety was off on General and Ponytail over and over again, and yet it's Teal. I think maybe one of those situations where you have your top two suspects, but you miss the purloin entirely. It throws you off. You really don't think either of them could have done it, and then you shoot someone nearby with a drink.
Yeah, as a sniper, sometimes you just have confidence that, well, I would have seen if either of those characters took a drink, right? Took the purloin. I
Right,
have
if
them
you're already
highly
tunneling,
for,
yeah.
yeah. So just decides to take the shot. That BB seems really desperate at the end by catnip, but it ends up working out for them. Gets them a spy win.
That's absolutely huge. That's what catnip needed. Very surprising. Screw's laser movement leading up to that purloin was very strange. They weren't zoomed in out front, and they weren't zoomed in on the back. It was kind of halfway between the two. They were clearly tunneling on someone between those two spots and left the purloin unguarded for a very long time. And as I mentioned, you had to watch out for that catnip purloin on gallery, and it happens again. In this case, it happens completely off screen and costs Screw the game. Question is, can they answer now, or are they going to go into Terrace with a deficit? Big moment here. Playing as Plane Twin, we're going to find our seduction target out front, and there is a nice little spot next to them for once. Usually there isn't. It's going to be a white test, though, just 34%. The question is Skrewwl00se going to stay and timer flirt like Catnip did, or are we going to go get something else done in the meantime? Catnip seemed to show a lot of patience on Modern. Could it be too much? Is Skrewwl00se going to look at that replay and say, I need to get missions done? That's going to be the question.
It seems like Skrewwl00se would agree with you, deciding that, hey, I need to go get stuff done. Possibly set up for this reverse bug as well. The ambassador at the blue shelf means that he does have to come to the bottom of the map, so you can set up for some very sneaky bugs. Decides just to head back and get his flirt on, though.
Yeah, it's something. You're at least forcing the action a little bit. You're going to be on the... No, we're not liking that spot. The last thing we want to do is lose this game to a bounce off a nearly full conversation, and that spot is not big enough. It's going to be a time ad, I think, thinking, you know what, I got away with maybe 2 of these last time, so I'm going to do it now. Let's see if any lowlights come off. I don't think Catnip is looking for it. Just enough of a delay in the game to maybe make it so it's not as obvious. You look for them at the end, you look for them at the beginning. You don't always look for them a minute in. Here comes the double agent. It's going to be the contact. Yep, white test, and off comes some lowlights. That's a pretty okay amount, actually, on gallery, because the SDA is, in fact, in the back there. Couple more. 6 total. I think some of those were not exactly hard lowlights, but it's a decent over-under there total. Skrewwl00se is not going to wait around either. We do have the second flirt in the meantime. Is this going to be a bug? No, we are going to be explicitly not bugging, and it's a good thing, too, because Catnip is clearly watching it, because Toby is right next to the ambassador from their perspective. We are going to get a fingerprint, though. We're going to delay the book just long enough. We have a fingerprint. We have 2/3 of the seduce, and we have the contact done. We have 2.5 minutes left thanks to that time ad. This time, Skrewwl00se determined not to let time get the better of them.
Ooh, went for that briefcase there, though, and messed up the cancel salmon, beat them out just barely, and Screw thought he was going to get there first, so does mess that up. Although, we're still going to be plenty fine on time. We've got
Drive-by
Amba
bug,
at
drive-by
the...
bug! Catnip zooms out as it happens. It's a great little bit of luck with the Amba. Skrewwl00se takes total advantage of it. Catnip does not protect that particular vulnerability, and it just happens to be the Amba was walking by the spy, and now this game looks real different.
Oh yeah, that's just a huge swing. And now you can even go to the fingerprintable statue, not complete inspects, and you'll look like a complete AI because you haven't finished it yet. We have so many ways to finish here too. Now Amba puts it in green, there's one in blue.
Yep. Certainly some risk being seen at the other bookshelf, even if you're not going to microfilm. You're going to want to be on the far left so they can be confident you're not microfilming in front of them. And they might not know that that fingerprint is on that statue. Also a bit of a risk going even once. You know, Catnip does highlight for statues, and in some past competitive games has indeed shot for partial inspects because of those rote highlights. Highlights for the visit, not for the complete. But if it's your first, it should be better. Skrewwl00se looks like they're going to do pretty much exactly what we were just discussing, except it's not a fingerprintable book anymore. Oh dear.
Nope. And now Smallman has taken the fingerprintable statue too, so that'll be difficult. Now I'm getting a little bit scared. You got a minute left, and now you're kind of hoping the Amba makes a fresh print for you, and that's not exactly guaranteed with only a minute left.
Doesn't matter. We just finished the flirt. The seduction target was right next to us. General goes to statues a second time, takes the bullet, 2 civ shots on gallery, and Skrewwl00se avoids potential disaster by staying even after 4. 2-2.
Yeah, General, just in general, as a character, that can easily get walking bugs by. So afraid of the statue completion plus bug. Very reasonable shot there by catnip at the end.
Yeah, very reasonable. You have to be humble about that sort of thing. You have to know, you know what? I can miss these, and I can definitely miss them on gallery. There's a lot of possible bugs on gallery sometimes, and sometimes you have to shoot this person who looks like they're finishing, even if you're not sure. That's what happened here. 2 sieve shots on gallery. We are all knotted up. Question is, what's going to happen from here on out? We're on to terrace, wildly different than the previous 2 venues. Both players have rarely played terrace competitively. Anyone outside of Iron has rarely played terrace competitively, for that matter. And it looks like we're going to get a quick cancel because, as often happens on Terrace, I think the spy might not have chosen the mission setup right away. It's an easy thing to forget.
Yeah, and we're going to be sticking with a common mission setup as well. Just no inspects, no swap. Inspects now sort of being introduced into the meta now that you have 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Sometimes you'll get some AI that'll go to both statues, and on Terrace with a real BB from them, that'll just win you the game because the sniper's going to have a really tough time not shooting for that. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's sort of the question. People have decided mostly that fingerprints are more likely to be completed by AIs, or spies for that matter, than the inspects are, but the extra 30 seconds help a lot. That is a misclick on catnip low light, but it's not going to take, thankfully. skrewwl00se recovers quickly, but it is an instant white test instead, playing as teal, by the way. 32% in the flirt, just like that. And what do you know? Inspects are turned off, and immediately 2 AIs go to statues. Ain't that the way it goes?
Absolutely. And then you're just playing 3 of 4.
Yep, exactly right, exactly right. But that's the choice sometimes, fingerprint or inspect, and some people even turn off purloin, but you normally want that option, the crash bug option, the purloin option, etc. Question is, do you BB once or twice? That's one of the biggest decisions on Terrace, I think. Do you want to BB once or twice, a fake and a real? In this case, it would be a fake, but is everyone about to be in? Yep. Hard to resist. And Catnip cannot resist it. It's a fake, which means looks like 7 people in the other conversation are going to have a real. Only 3 people could have possibly faked here, which means we're probably going to see another one at some point unless we're going all in on a frame.
And even though that doesn't get catnip any progress, that'll alleviate some heat, which is just going to be really great in the long run.
Yep, and indeed, I think we have confirmation that skrewwl00se just likes to take the safety off, just for the hell of it. Just to give me a little heart attack. Catnip is going to pick up a statue here. Again, we are trying really hard to keep this heat down. The seduction target helps a little bit by coming to us on the adjacent pad, and we're going to get a green flirt too, so it's 83%. We thought we were idling, but we were actually making mission progress.
Yeah, that mind control, they're really going to have help catnip out. Now when we go chase Oprah, it's not going to look too obvious.
And not only that, but I think they're thinking with the fake and the statue visit, which again is meaningless at that point, no mission progress as far as the sniper knows. I think the idea is maybe we force a 50-50 with this purloin, and because we have so much goodwill from all that idling and wasted time, maybe they shoot the other person. That could be the idea here. We have the delegate in our pocket. We are highlight forward. They are bar highlights coming out from Screw so far this game. Maybe just mentally remembering who has a reel. That's an interesting choice, though, because in this case, that's a pretty big suspect pool. We are going to delegate. It's going to be to Wheels. We are talking. We're not going to stop talk. And Wheels is going to go to bar, and this is going to be a big moment of truth. I'm not sure about this. I think I like the build-up to it more than the actual delegate itself. It was very clear, no stop talk, no occlusion, and I'm not sure we've picked a huge suspect or not. We're going to sip the drink. We're not going to try to be rid of it yet. More highlights coming out, and here comes the purloin. It's away. skrewwl00se is not looking yet. Now sees Toby. And where's the reaction? Should be able to lowlight everyone who's not already highlight. Sees it now. Double zoom in on Toby's vest. Seduce is done in the meantime. 2 missions done. A contact will end this. And skrewwl00se is still confirming that the list is gone. Double zooms again. Is just starting to react now. That's a long delay. Here come the lowlights. Should be everyone who's not highlit is lowlit. But that's still only going to get down to 4. Really doesn't feel like they were expecting that, which means they probably don't realize who talked and who sent. This might have worked really well.
Yeah, when you only have it down to 5, it's going to be really tough. And reminder that Wheels does have real BB and catnip does. So right now, Wheels just threatening the finish at any point.
Yep, and he's talking right now. Big moment coming up, and we're waiting to see if the double agent will come into our conversation, because if Screw doesn't shoot, Catnip is going to have to rush something. Double agent's moving. Big moment of truth here. Wheels is going for a fingerprint. Could that be it? It's right around 10 seconds, so you can't necessarily wait for overtime. DAA does not go into conversation. It's shoot Wheels or nothing. Wheels is at the bar. No shot yet. Waiting for OT. No OT. Spy ran out of time. Wow, what an ending.
Very nice call there at the end. Honestly, I think that shot was probably slightly delayed. Like he should have taken it. I mean, you have 9 seconds. He picks it. that's the win, but really nice call there just to assume, hey, I don't think Wheels is a spy, but if it is, maybe I'll get like 1 second of OT to take this really quick shot. Really
No,
nice job there, though.
you're
That's so tough not to shoot with real BB and Purloin having gone. That's so difficult.
It really is. And I think you're absolutely right, by the way. If you think that could be Wheels finishing, you actually can't wait for OT there. It's right on the line. So, and you could see there was a lot of occlusion. You could have shot someone by accident very, very easily. I think you had to make the decision right then and there, regardless. So I think it was counterintuitively maybe a bit of a mechanical mistake from Screw that actually wins in the game. We're going to flirt here. Green test at windows. Screw's going to try to pull away here now. That's 2 in a row. And just immediately there's a shot. What on earth?
I just assumed bug on the
There
way
is
in. Yeah,
That's the only thing that makes sense, but even that doesn't make sense because you're not done with an immediate crash bug. There's just no reason to shoot then. Oh, that is rough. That feels like a quick frustrated snapshot is what that feels like to me. At minimum, you have to wait for a talk or two, a BB, anything. Anything where they could conceivably be done, but there's no way to be done. I understand there is some psychological value to nailing the spy for something the moment they do it, but in this case, it costs you a very winnable sniper game. And oh, just like that, Skrewwl00se has completely turned this match around. 4-2.
sweeping terrace. The complete opposite of what I thought was going to happen. And now on veranda, we're going to see balcony, which is the one positive here for catnip. It's going to be difficult to sweep on veranda, but I think this map gives a little bit more agency than modern does. A lot more cover to deal with, especially on the left side of the map.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And sniper rotation is going to be a big, big deal here. Screw's a little more familiar with this venue than Catnip is competitively. And here we go. It's going to be Ponytail again. Catnip is going to go right to an empty conversation as far as we're concerned. We're either going to immediately Purloin, I think, or do nothing, except, oh, the double agent comes and visits us. Question is it actually a good time? Looks okay at best. I think we might want to resist this for now. This is a very powerful spot to Purloin if the Ambassador is not right behind us. And yes, Catnip recognizes, not a good time. We're just idling instead. And that might be a reasonable choice given some of the Civ shots we've seen this match.
Catnip there also passing up the reverse bug, saw that Skrewwl00se's laser was far on the left side and didn't want to risk that sort of early bug that. Maybe that's going to come back to bite them later, not going for that early mission progress, because that is going to be pretty hidden. But we're still in relatively decent shape with this banana bread coming off.
It's a green, and it's a really good one. And not only that, but Skrewwl00se was double zoomed in on the list when it happened, so they don't have that mental snapshot of who is moving around. And we only have 3 lowlights so far. That is not great on Veranda. And yeah, forgoes that bug in part because maybe the list was right there with us. One of the virtues, one of the challenges, rather, on Veranda for the sniper is to how you manage when there are threats on other sides of the venue. And in this case, when they're both on the same side like that, very hard to get away with. Catnip, by the way, does leave shortly after the BB and takes a red book and gets out of there. This time, unlike the previous game we saw, I don't think that's going back on the right shelf. Not like on Modern.
Yeah, that takeout was very quick, and we also had the BB to cover for our takeout. So that makes this red book a little bit more valuable. Even if you go return this red book, it's going to look a lot more sus since you took it out so fast. Skrewwl00se might not even remember
Oh,
putting
he's
it away.
all over it. Wow, was waiting, almost baiting it. I did not think it was particularly visible from the sniper side, but Skrewwl00se was just sitting, I think, on the book cheese. And just like that, is it just me? Do I have the count right? Is it 5-2?
It is indeed. Kind of needs to sweep the rest in order to even have a chance.
Wow. Incredible. What a turnaround. Was in big trouble on that gallery game. Had to spy to avoid going down 3-1 on gallery. Has not lost since. And now we're going to white time ad at the beginning of the match. Has not been busted for these time ads yet. And figures, you know what? I'm going to keep doing it until you beat me, especially now that I got 3 games to play with.
Yeah, and on 5 of 8 especially, it's going to be really, really tough. You have to get the sniper to overload their memory with this amount of time. It doesn't really work versus players like Kaylee because he's extremely effective at punishing time ad. But when it's someone like Catnip and they're getting 0 lowlights for this time, might as well go for it, right? Gives you more time to set up your hardtails.
Yeah, it's like we mentioned earlier. If you don't take the behavioral lowlights and if you don't punish time ads, then they can be very, very potent because there's going to be so many more fingerprints out there, so many more statue visits, so many more possible bug paths on Veranda. And Catnip just has no more margin. And it feels like Skrewwl00se is perfectly happy. That's a very short window stay. We're just going to aggressively flirt here and give ourselves some options. 24% there. Yamba is still occluded. Yeah, I think Skrewwl00se is just putting the pressure on, saying there have been some Civ shots, there's been some jumpiness. I have 3 games to play with, so I'm just going to draw this game out and dare you to hold your shot.
Yeah, Screw there also was trying to set up for the reverse bug. Ambo went the wrong way, so was not able to get that free mission. Catnip's laser was not on the far left, so her angle would have not been able to cover that bug properly.
Difficult fingerprint attempt on green does not happen, though. Does not take. We do have the book out with us, though, and I'm not sure that was seen. That green bookshelf has been covered. The Amba has even been covered there by that full conversation, and Catnip has not rotated around for the most part. She does not seem particularly interested in it. Staying around the center of the party has been very loath to go all the way to the left or right to guard anything in particular. Here comes a fake banana bread. And again, this really fits the idea that they're just going to put the pressure on. Might have a frame target in mind or might just be doing it in general. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3 lowlights. And with the time ad, that's not quite enough. This suspect pool is going to stay very, very large. Skrewwl00se is going to go to red shelves, and there's no indication that Catnip suspects this.
Yeah, all the characters are on the middle to the right side of the map, so there's no real reason for Catnip to swing all the way to the left. There's just not many people over there. Screw is basically having free reign to do whatever he wants for the time being.
Catnip seems determined to stay in the middle of this venue to get the big picture of the whole party, but that means some of these granular things like those book takeouts and those fakes and all those sorts of things, they are not being guarded when they're off to that side. And Skrewwl00se is just hanging out on this left side for that reason. It's probably noticed there's not been a swing over here yet. We do get a rote statue highlight. We're going to get 2 inspects done. Seduce is 2/3 of the way done. Microfilm is done, and it doesn't feel like we're a particularly big suspect, although an abnormally low number of lowlights for Veranda so far. There's a walking bug. It's totally invisible. Totally invisible. You're crediting the path, if anything, and Catnip has not reacted at all.
Yeah, perfect use of the cane arm, plus all that great cover Taft gave. Really nicely executed bug by Screwloose. Now we can have a real contact and we'll be in such good shape. It's going to take a lot for Catnip to be shooting here.
Yeah, and she is really, really concerned about this guest list. That's one of the reasons she stayed in the center, is because the guest list has stayed in the center of the venue. And here comes the real BB, and oh boy, now we just need to go to statues to finish, and it's just so hard to imagine that Catnip can shoot for this. She does occasionally shoot for those late statue finishes. We saw it against General on gallery. Just feels like someone could be finishing, but we have 90 seconds to do it. And she is still staring at that guest list. I think if Screw can just avoid resist a purloin, we might be fine. And shoot, there it is. Shoots Buns for another statue visit. In that case, wow, if that shot came off, it's entirely possible that the same thing would have happened to Screw, but instead, that is going to end the match. 5 straight wins for Skrewwl00se to close it out 6-2.
Yeah, just that overall match ended up coming down to Catnip Civ shooting, and that is just either not getting enough information on the guests that you've collected, just not being have enough to say they have less than 4 missions. If you have a little more info, then you could maybe make better decisions about that. And then just yeah, pretty jumpy shots when it just comes to getting close to the end of the game. I think someone's finishing, and of course that aggressive Terrace phantom bug shot. She's gonna wish she had that one back.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. I think that's the only one you have to really regret. Obviously, a lot of those shots jumpy, but that was the only one that felt genuinely needless. You know, sometimes that's the only one that came off when someone could not conceivably be finishing is the main thing. And we saw this in group stages a little bit. Catnip took some very aggressive shots as sniper, a lot of intuitive, instinctual shots on people who could be finishing, and it was almost always the spy. But as we've seen before, as you and I know from personal experience, I'm sure, the line between those instinctual gut instinct shots that end up looking brilliant and the Civ shots that look inexplicable, it's a very fine line, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's the line you play when you play this game. And that just comes down to like maybe one more piece of information you could have gotten that makes you make the opposite decision.
Yeah, just that little extra 5% makes all the difference. You know, those aggressive shots that save you games. We saw a shot for a talk in the group stages, for example, that was very impressive. But the flip side of that is that sometimes you shoot the civs when the spy is a little more patient, and that's what happened here. Congratulations to Skrewwl00se, who is going to move on to play the winner of a Bear Roar and Minty Rug. So their tournament's not going to get any easier, I don't think. The The tournament is now over for Catnip. Did have an impressive run in group stages, has often overperformed at Summer Cups historically, and no exception here, given the group she was in. But that is going to close out her Summer Cup.